My family in Indiana is originally from Frankfort, Indiana, so it goes back a few generations. It feels like a huge honor to be included among other local artists and to have a chance to honor some of my family members. The portrait that I painted is of my grandfather Wayne and my great-grandfather Pony, and I've always been interested in the history of my family, so I had a chance to talk with other relatives to hear stories about them, and that informed to a degree some of my sense of appreciation for them while making the painting. So I asked my mom, Jane, if she had photos of Wayne and Pony. The one that I chose is of them standing together in the backyard of the home that they built together. And they built it for Wayne and my grandma, Mary Jane, to have a family and raise them, and it's where my mom and her sister and brothers were all born and raised. My great-grandma B took the photo, and I feel like almost like her her gaze or her look onto them was reflected back in their kind of warmth in that and pride in that moment. So like I liked that it was a moment between all three of them shared. Process-wise, it was a black and white photo, so I scanned that, projected it onto the canvas in grayscale, and then did some watered down transparent acrylic washes over it. And then I did some highlights and some kind of shadow details on top of that at the end. So it's kind of like a colorization of a black and white photo. I kind of already knew a lot about my grandpa Wayne's life. He's a great father, very helpful and appreciated person in his community in Frankfort. My family all loves him very much, so they were happy to tell me many stories about him. My great-grandfather Pony, I didn't know much about, but growing up, my family always told me that I reminded them of him. I never got to meet him while he's alive, but this was a cool way to hear some stories about him. He was he owned his own business, and he also was a writer and a musician. He wrote poetry and short stories and did some drawings. I actually have a collection of his short stories that I'd like to illustrate someday. So hearing more about him just kind of helped to round out my idea of who he was as a person, and to think about how some of those kind of innate creative talents might have been passed on. It's fun to think that maybe there are parts of my personality that are similar to his, and I've only heard good things, so yeah, I like to think that maybe I'm living, you know, to some extent, some of the better parts of his personality now too, based on what I've heard and what I'd like to embody with my own way of being.